to be here this morning with Charlie Hurt and, of course, our friend Griff Jenkins.
Laissez les bon temps brûler. That's the New Orleans saying for let the good times roll.
Say that again?
Super Bowl weekend. Laissez les bon temps brûler. It's like the Mardi Gras sort of saying. That's, you know, that's Cajuns down there. I don't know. It just says let's party. But like, how cool is it that we have a Super Bowl weekend for football fans? And I wanted my Commanders to get there. They didn't. The Eagles stopped them quite convincingly. But you know, for middle-aged guys like me, this is like a holiday weekend. It's like bigger than Christmas or Thanksgiving because you got the big game and
it's the Super Bowl.
It's like the Super Bowl.
Potentially history. A three-peat would be a big deal.
Yeah, it would be.
So does this mean I'm going to have to learn French now? Because I'm already learning Spanish.
And I have to
now I'm
learn.
going to have to learn French as well.
Now I have to learn football.
Listen, we're going to, by the end of this show, you will be so versed in what's at stake at this Super Bowl. Look, for 59 years they've had the Super Bowl. No team has ever won 3 back-to-back. So we might not get to see this again in our lifetime if the Chiefs win.
Yeah.
So I'm not like the world's biggest football watcher, but I love the Super Bowl because it's like a cultural thing now. It's like, I love the drama, I love the stories, I love, you know, it's
the food, which we're going to have on the show today.
I like the food. But it's like, but it's the drama, you know. It's like the most American thing there is.
If you don't know anything about football, or even know which teams are in the Super Bowl this year, which is happening tomorrow night on Fox, you know who Tom Brady is because he's the GOAT, and he joined Fox and Friends and had a lot to say. Here's some of what he said.
Football to know that was a very good-looking man right there. And right now we're going to move to Will Kane, who was hanging out with the Shaq. Watch.
He's like chewing, he's like chomping. It's not gum. He's like eating.
No. He's having fun. He's eating. He's partying, and he's hanging out with like big-time stars, like the Shaq. By the way, Will's going to join us live from New Orleans all morning long. You can catch that full interview with Shaq at 7 a.m. Eastern. So you got to stay with us to catch the rest of that. Meanwhile, Super Bowl pregame show starts Sunday.
Your whole day around the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
You got the pregame, you got to get the snacks, and you've also got to create a watching environment where you can watch the ads, too. The ads are very entertaining. It's like $8 million for 30 seconds, so all the companies go in big. I've already got my favorite one. I've seen previews.
Okay, we'll have to talk about that.
Well, it's the Stella Artois beer commercial featuring
Show you guys that one later in the show.
Yeah.
How about we do that?
That's a really...
It's a great deep tease.
Indeed.
Is that what we call that? I'm learning Spanish and deep teases.
Deep teases.
Laissez les bon temps brûler.
And French, apparently.
All right. Excuse me. Meanwhile, new overnight, we've got some news. A federal judge issuing an order to...
Both of you guys are actually D.C. guys. I know you're a rural guy, but you're a D.C. guy in a lot of ways. You know what's going on. Just how absolutely explosive
it's insane.
and revolutionary is what we have seen in the last
Griff and I were just talking about it a minute ago off camera. Like it's like you're 3 weeks in or going into our third week, and times in a day, like a Tuesday, we're going to shut down this, we're going to shut down this, and we're going to shut down this. I do think it's interesting though that you've got these legal challenges, and do the courts really want to get involved in the particulars of how the head of the executive branch wants to curtail spending and be a better guard of taxpayer dollars? I think it's a pretty short runway for justice on that.
It's interesting from that legal angle that you're talking about, and do the courts want to get involved? On a more basic level, it's putting Democrats in a terrible position where they're like defending USAID and like transgender operas in foreign countries and like just all this crazy stuff they're uncovering. And there's more to come. I mean, DOGE has only reached a few agencies. I heard I've got some sources. They just arrived at transportation. Who knows what they'll uncover there? So like I had a good source there.
Amazing
but it's like, one after and another. And we're just going to keep seeing this. And how do the Democrats defend this? Because it's not popular.
So this is such an important point. And for the conservative movement, I mean, I started in talk radio in the 90s, producing Ollie North's radio show when Sean Hannity was taken off, when Rush Limbaugh was the king. Back to Rush Limbaugh days in the 90s, conservatives have been talking about overbloated bureaucratic government and how it does not serve the American people. And to Charlie's point, here we are 30 years later, and Trump said, I'm taking a wrecking ball to it. Yeah. And it's actually happening. Yeah. And it's really remarkable. And what you're finding is that Democrats aren't defending the actual transgender opera in Colombia or the DEI program in Serbia. They're literally showing that they are addicted to the status quo.
Somebody who loves USAID and loves the work USAID does, but recognizes that it's completely gone off the rails. Yeah. And then a completely separate whistleblower went on Jesse last night and basically said the same thing. And again, these are the people that love the mission, but realize it's gone completely off the rails.
From what I'm hearing and feeling around the country, and I am in touch with a lot of people around the country, they're willing to take that gamble. They're willing to see some good stuff just ends up getting cut just to get rid of this whole Leviathan.
Yeah, and look, you know, both President Trump and Elon Musk and others have said, you look at things like PEPFAR and combating AIDS in Africa, you know, important things aren't going to die here. The USAID, of course, will have the purview, State Department overseeing it, and can keep these programs that are serving a purpose in place, and American people will support that. It's just the waste in our hard-earned tax dollars that we're going to rein in a little bit.
Joni Ernst talked earlier this week that she tried to get oversight, and many senators have been saying this. They've been trying to get oversight over USAID and get some transparency. They were never allowed in to look at it. So maybe you have to sort of get rid of all of it, and then we can go, oh, this is a good program to help children with AIDS.
Which is preposterous, by the way, because Congress created USAID.
I know.
So it's for a lot of them, it is a religion, but it's also become, as you point out, a structure from which they make lots of money. But there's definitely a new sheriff in town, and there's also a new sheriff in town revoking security clearances. President Trump revoked former President Biden's security clearance yesterday. In a Truth Social post, he says,
this is amazing, and I expect more people who Donald Trump doesn't think should have a security clearance to have their security clearances removed. But, you know, it's just so interesting. He's had 4 years to think about what he wanted to do.
Sitting in the corner.
And it's not just him, by the way. Make no mistake, you and I have talked about this too, Charlie.
Seen much reaction from former President Biden about this, and so we'll see where that goes. There's a lot to be said, really, like Charlie and I were talking about right before the show. It's as if you were sitting in a bar talking about all the crazy things you're going to do, and then all of a sudden you realize the president doesn't even drink, wasn't in a bar, and has talked about all the things you were talking about, and he's actually doing them at lightning speed.
Amazing.
All right, meanwhile, turning now to some headlines. The good Lori Tomanchok, Jen Barozzi, and Laura Kiesling. I didn't screw up your names yet. But listen, let's talk about this. Pastor, let's start with you. This is such a special, important event. It's in its 10th year now, I believe.
11th. 11th for the whole Tim Tebow Foundation. It's our 2nd year as a church hosting.
Why do you do it?
Well, because
my heart is just bursting right now because I just love this whole thing so much. But for those who have never been to an event like this or volunteered, and by the way, I hope we recognize all the wonderful businesses that supported you, and I want to try and say them by name after, but just tell us what the event looks like. I'll start with you, Laura, because you actually reached out to me, and this is how we got this on. So tell us how it reaches out.
Emailed me back 3 hours later. I was like,
What's the reaction of the kids?
They just dance all night, big smiles. They're just thrilled.
Pure joy.
Yeah, pure joy. Absolutely.
And God bless all of you guys for putting this on. The message is really important. 80% of children, you know, they say anywhere from 60 to 80, we know these numbers, probably closer to 80 or 90, of children who get a diagnosis of Down syndrome do not survive their diagnosis, they're aborted. So whether you have physical or mental challenges, everybody's worthy of life. And I think that is what you guys are putting forth to the world and involving your community. Again, I wanted, can you just tell us really quick who were the companies that helped out?
So we had
salads, another Shore Catering donated charcuterie boards for the parents because the parents
Came,
had to
of
stay-
course.
came, of course, and they had their own respite area.
Wow.
Yes.
So I think our desire is to let other churches know that they don't have to have all this.
So Pastor Robbie Itterberg to find out how they can do it.
That's right.
Awesome.
We're grateful to all of you all. For what you're
Amazing.
doing. Okay, the countdown to Super Bowl 59 is on. Great to be with you, Griff. And as always, Rachel.
Great to be with both of you guys. Just really quick, we did that segment in the last hour of Night to Shine, this sort of prom night for people with special needs. 120 young adults, teenagers and young adults went to this event. It took 650 volunteers to do it. I was talking to some of the guests that were on in the green room just a little bit before we started the hour, and they were saying that, Tim Tebow started this because he wanted to show the worth of every child, no matter what. And they asked him, why did you use the red carpet? Because they walk down the red carpet before they go to the prom. And he said, well, the red carpet in our culture shows that you're somebody very important. And so that's the beauty of it. And I just wanted to highlight that again and just how wonderful it is that we have people in America who do this, that we have small businesses that support this kind of stuff. It did. It did. Well, obviously, I have little Valentina, and I was telling them earlier, too, that there have actually been studies on families with special needs children, and those families with children with Down syndrome are actually happier families. And the reason is there's a purity and a joy about these people, and we should stop our eugenics culture about that because they deserve to live.
Well, and our hats off to Pastor Robbie Itterberg that said, look, we just reached out, got what we could, put it together, and made it happen. Very, very special. Meanwhile, people that have a special assignment include Will Kane. And as a football fan, I am quite envious of this assignment because he has the best job all weekend long. Hey, Will, what is happening there now? Have we got people out in the streets drinking again? This is New Orleans, after all.
Right now?
Yeah.
You want to know what's happening right now?
Illegal entries are down 90%, proving that obviously the lies that Alejandro Mayorkas and the Biden administration that we're controlling the border, nothing's happening, and then we see these numbers just plummet.
You can't overstate it. Look, I've covered the border for nearly 15 years. I have never seen numbers this low. In Eagle Pass, Texas, in the Del Rio sector, there was like 23 yesterday, like 40 the day before. I watched 3,000 to 4,000 every single day and brought it to you live. And the reason why is because President Trump is delivering on that main promise, but it's the team he's got there. Tom Homan is working around the clock. I talk to him almost every day. The chief of the Border Patrol, Mike Banks, who was the border czar in Texas, has spent his entire life in the Border Patrol. He started out in California and Calexico, has worked at every station all the way over to the Rio Grande Valley in Texas in his Border Patrol career before he was taking over Governor Abbott's Border Czar operation in Texas. He knows how to do this, and what's happening and what's so remarkable about what this team is doing is that they're putting the Border Patrol back to their fundamental job of guarding that southern border, not babysitting migrants that are coming across to be released. They're letting ICE off the leash to go get the illegal criminal migrants who have committed horrific crimes in this country. And so to see it actually working is really something that, we didn't think. I mean, I thought it would take months. Bill Melugin and I talk about it all the time, like how long is it going to take them to actually make an impact? They're making an impact in less than a month, reducing it to the numbers it's at now.
It's amazing.
And as you've reported for years, nobody reads the press about our intentions at the border more closely than people south of the border who are looking to come here.
So
and
true.
so, in a way, one of the most powerful things you can do as president is just say, we're not doing this anymore. And then they get the message, and
It kills the pull factor.
Well, you're right about that.
It turns off the welcome sign.
It turns off the welcome sign, but there's another thing happening, and I was reading about this, which is, Tom, the cartels were getting fabulously rich off of this entire operation. This human smuggling has enriched them and empowered them in a way, and now it's been cut off, and there's only a few avenues left that they can go to. So there's more fighting and violence because now it's not, it used to be like they could coordinate with each other. They could cooperate. There was so much room for everybody to make money. Now there's only small lanes that they can get through, and they're fighting over that. The other thing is, and I saw a thing with Tom Homan, he's warning the cartels because they are angry and they want to retaliate. And he's saying you touch one border patrolman's hair on their head, and the wrath of the U.S. government and military will come upon you because they know that it has so badly impacted this very massive stream of money for them.
But of course, immigration is not the only area where Democrats are way off, out of kilter with, I think, large public opinion. Democrats stormed the Department of Education this week.
They should be happy. They shouldn't be sad. It's so frank. It's so refreshing. Everything that's happening, you guys, has been, this has been a week to remember. I really think that, this week is going to go down in history. Everything you ever
until
wanted.
Next week.
Until next week. But up to now, everything you ever wanted to have happen, as you said, conservative fantasy, that every do-nothing think tank said should happen, every Republican establishment person said we should do but never did for, 15 years. Here it is in 3 weeks. It just took courage.
And President Trump has bequeathed us a new sign-off line, which is good luck, live in peace.
Yeah, good luck, live in peace. Well, I think the theme is buckle up. Meanwhile, turning now to some headlines, starting with the Fox. I'm not a golfer. I'll play, but I'm no good at it. But to hit a hole-in-one, that would be something.
Yeah, it would be.
Truly
I'm
amazing.
not a golfer either.
I mean, it's like a hole-in-one.
Yeah.
More Fox and Friends.
We're kind of getting into it in the break, and I'm like, stop, let's break this down. So tell us where we're at right now.
Yeah, so the app still works if it's already been downloaded on your phone. Trump came in January 20th and gave it a 75-day deadline. So we have until April 5th for us to figure out how we get it onto U.S. soil. The issue has always been national security. TikTok is owned by ByteDance, which is...
National security, which is code for censorship, or we can't control it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of the data goes back to China, which is TikTok is owned by ByteDance, which gives the data to China. So that has been the issue, is how do we keep that data on U.S. soil? Because we don't know how the Chinese are using the data that they're gathering from TikTok for their interests. So the key is going to be, how do we get TikTok to remain in U.S. ownership so we can protect U.S. owners' data?
Okay, well, that's what the government's saying. Whatever. I just think they can't control what's being said on TikTok. They can't control the narrative. So now, first of all, J.D. Vance, Mike Waltz. J.D. Vance is a great person to help. Tell us why you think he's the perfect person to I guess, spearhead this deal.
Yeah, one of the best. He has a Silicon Valley background and not big tech. He is a venture capitalist. This is perfect. So when he's working with people like Kevin O'Leary and Frank McCourt, Kevin O'Leary is in many ways, to simplify it, also a venture capitalist. These are people who go in, they look at small businesses who can't operate on their own, maybe can't qualify for a loan for a bank. They fund those businesses and get them off the ground. So he is the perfect guy in terms of a turnaround artist to go in, look at a business and figure out this is how you get a deal done. So in that case, I actually think J.D. Vance's background pre-government is perfect when he's working with all of these new entrepreneurs who are all trying to make bids and all trying to raise their hand and say, we're the guys that want TikTok.
Right. And so my thought was, okay, this is going to go to American private company.
Yes.
But then I learned during the break talking to you that Trump wants the government to have part ownership of this. I don't like this idea.
I think a lot of people are worried about that because if Trump's in office and it's a 50-50 joint venture, he mentioned when he wanted to create the sovereign wealth fund, maybe 50% of the TikTok ownership would be in that sovereign wealth fund, 50% with a private investor. Great if you like the government, but what happens if the government then turns into the other party and now the other party has 50% ownership of TikTok? I don't like the government in it at all with anybody. I don't trust the government with this kind of technology. So that's one idea that's been floated around. But again, you have tons of private investors. I mentioned Frank McCourt and Kevin O'Leary, who have said they have a deal. They have $20 billion ready. You have other deals from Mr. to sell. But again, they have to be on board with selling. And for what price?
Wow. Well, this is a big deal, especially if you care about censorship. And there are obviously some Chinese national security issues as well. But this is fascinating. We'll see how J.D. Vance manages this with Mike Waltz. And you're going to keep us posted, keep coming back with as everything develops.
You got it.
All right. Well, Super Bowl 59 is tomorrow. And if you're one of the Luma Luxury Matchmaking, April Davis joins us now. I was just telling you that Valentine's Day is your Super Bowl, and I'm a matchmaker in my own right, but you are a pro, and so we brought you in because this is, I think, the most important subject, which is love. So tell us these trends that are happening in dating right now.
Well, there are a lot of trends, but you'll also notice as I'm describing them that these are actually things that have been going on forever. You guys are well aware, but they just have names, which to me is actually really enlightening that younger generations are recognizing these things. And I think they're just more aware and smarter about just relationships and our culture. Like if you think about gaslighting, for example, that was a term that people hadn't heard about really ubiquitously anyway, like 10 years ago, but now everybody's talking about gaslighting, right?
Right.
So the first one is micromancing, and that's it's about, you know, somebody making you a coffee or just sending you a text, you know, have a good day.
Yeah. Sometimes my husband will send me a text, or, you know, actually all the time he sends me a little text during the show. Yeah. And that's a really lovely thing to do.
Right. And people are recognizing how important those little things are.
I'm thinking of you.
They are. Yeah. In fact, when I came up this weekend, I live in D.C., my wife put a tiny little card in my suitcase, said, hey, good luck, you know, have a great weekend or whatever. And we've been married 26 years. I want to get to, though, we mentioned in the intro, there's red flags.
Red flags.
What are the red
yeah,
flags?
Well, I mean, like anything in life, you want to be aware of people that are maybe jealous. And it's not just like jealous that you have to be aware of and make sure that
catch them early.
That's a red flag. Yeah, you don't want to be with somebody like that. Or somebody that is constantly comparing you to maybe their ex. You know, the thief of joy is constant comparison. So that's just not a great way to live your life.
The thief of joy is constant comparison.
That's a really good one. So
from with social media, right?
So micromancing has actually been around forever. It just has a new name, as you point out. But it's kind of weird today. Everybody meets like online. Where do you go to meet a human in person today in your 20s?
That's just it. It's not actually online to meet a person. There's a ton of, first of all, it's full of spam and bots and all this junk. And then second of all, you have this group of people that just want to sit there and text all day long. They never actually get off their couch, right?
So they're meeting online, but they're not actually meeting in person and having an authentic relationship. They're just texting
all
each
day
other.
long, or they're just looking for attention a lot of times. And then you, of course, you have the hookup.
So if you're looking for something real, where should people go?
Matchmaker,
of course. But
what April's saying is that
it's through someone.
It's through someone. Yes, thank you.
The best way to meet someone for a real relationship is actually through someone. A matchmaker, but your friends, your family, let people know that you're single. Put it on your Facebook status and make sure that they know that you're
And if you're single watching this, look up April Davis. You got a week before Valentine's Day.
Prioritize your love life. It's the most important thing. April, thanks for joining us. We're going to follow up with you. Get ready for your Super Bowl Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's
We'll
Day.
get the alligator and bacon ready.
There you go. There you go. More Fox and Friends next.
The third hour of Fox and Friends Weekend starts right now. It's a rematch of Super Bowl 57, which was the Chiefs and Eagles. But last time, the Chiefs had more people rooting for the Chiefs. This time, some polling shows that more people are rooting for the Eagles this time. They want to stop the Chiefs from the three-peat.
I think that's an anti-Taylor Swift vote. I don't know. I'm going to tell you this. Somebody who's just like must feel like he hit the lottery. It's Will Kane. He gets this new show.
Now that he can't talk back.
Well, I was a cheerleader in high school, and so I do appreciate it.
I bet you were a cheerleader.
So I was a cheerleader.
I could see it.
We called it a yell leader. So I played soccer and ran track, and did not play football or basketball. And so there were times when they needed some yell leaders. The male guys would go out and help fire up the cheerleaders.
So would you pick the cheerleaders up and throw them up and catch them and do all that?
I did. I learned how to do a basket thing. I don't think they ever let us actually do it for fear that we were going to drop the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
But they did tell us how to do it. Although I don't know that I actually did it. But yes, the NUSL from Memphis, Tennessee. I had a bullhorn yell, "Let's go!"
Well,
Learn something about Griff every
yeah, but I can
day,
see that.
something
I can
new.
totally see
love
that.
it.
So President Trump has a cheerleader of his own.
Himself.
In addition to himself, the Japanese Prime Minister came to visit the White House.
So I love that, Prime Minister Ishiba actually met before he came to the White House with Shinzo Abe's widow, along with the SoftBank CEO, because he was prepped.
Yeah. Listen, that has been a problem. This has been a problem for the left. The way that they have painted Donald Trump, and then when people really get to know Donald Trump, he's just not that person, that mean, as a, orange monster that they try to portray him to be. People meet him and they're like, this is a really sincere, open person who just tells it like it is. And people generally like people who say it like it is. And during the campaign, Charlie, one of the ways that he did that was through podcasts, right? Like you couldn't get, there were these sound bites that they were trying to, do gotcha with them, the mainstream media. And then Donald Trump goes on a 3-hour podcast where you really get to see somebody and hear somebody and get to know who they are. And they're like, I kind of like this guy. He has a lot of common sense, which brings us to our next topic, which is paper straws, which never really made sense, right?
And, the idea that you would have, the Biden administration would have an executive order banning, when you try to build this caricature, the guy listens carefully to people, and he has a real idea of what the pulse is of the country. Also, it doesn't hurt that he's hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, a total comedian.
Have you ever met anyone who prefers paper straws?
No.
If you put
Not
it
even liberals.
in a smoothie, it literally disintegrates.
It melts.
It's gummy. There's
it's disgusting.
A gluey sort of.
And then it turned out, we had Mark Morano on earlier in the show, and he was saying, listen, there's like more forever chemicals in the paper straws. I mean, none of it made sense. They made a big deal about it. It's just like with the plastic bags. They banned plastic bags, and it turns out, that it takes more, environment. It makes a bigger environmental imprint to produce these other bags that they claim were, better than plastic bags. So
and whenever you see those things that collect all the garbage and flotsam that comes down the rivers or in the ocean, and they try to wrap up all the plastic. It's all face masks.
Yes,
There's
it's
a
all
freaking
yes.
straw in there.
Yes.
Part of the flotsam.
So
It
yeah,
depends
the
on
flotsam
what,
and
yes.
jetsam. So just why don't we ban face masks? How about that?
Yeah, I was down with that a long time ago.
Hey, you never know.
All right, well, we're going to get to some headlines really quick. An activist was on. That's awesome.
Did you see where it took them like 7 takes to get that done?
Did it?
Yeah.
Who said that?
I think so. It was. They had a blooper.
They had a blooper
yesterday. We ran a blooper reel on it, and it's 7 takes.
Big fun. Although I'm not sure Brett's got the right jersey on. I think Sean's got the right.
Oh no,
jersey.
I'm with Brett on this one.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Meanwhile,
Our hits all day long that we've been having all morning long with Will Kane have been amazing. Tomorrow, as you guys know, is the big game. Are you guys ready?
yeah. Although I'm still trying to get the powdered sugar from those beignets off of my suit with that awesome.
What are you
sandwich
doing
just
for
with the
Super Bowl?
food. Well, the Super Bowl is going to be unique because I'm headed to Panama tomorrow after the show to do a special on the Panama Canal.
Who doesn't go to Panama for
So
the Super Bowl?
whatever hotel I get to in Panama City, they're going to get a heavy dose of Americana Super Bowl.
We should have opened this segment with Van Halen.
Yes.
Yeah. Why did we do that?
Absolutely.
I am going to go to my neighbor's home, the Tuppers, for a Super Bowl party. And if Charlie gets snowed in, I'm bringing him with me.
I'll be there. I mean, and I have every expectation that I will get snowed in. So.
Do I have powdered sugar in my
Tuppers,
hair?
get ready.
Why,
Charlie's
do I?
gonna come over.
Over my hair.
I have.
Yeah, I got it all over myself.
Yeah. No, I was. All right.
Well, somebody who doesn't need to get invited to
You know, if you've got them, you wear them. You know.
the red.
I wear.
Oh, the rings.
Yeah. I wear every Super Bowl ring I've ever won.
Have you ever held one?
Yeah, they're like 5 pounds.
I looked it up. It's a quarter of a pound.
A quarter of a pound.
Can you imagine it being Tom Brady wearing 7 at the same time?
Wow.
What is? Do the math on that.
Do the math.
Well, new overnight, a federal
Kids are
cut off from their funds at USAID.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, exactly. It cuts off the, and so the idea that they're going to go out into Peoria and get a gathering of American taxpayers who are like, we want to save USAID. They're never going to get that. You're not going to find this anywhere.
No, and those Democrats, I mean, there is a hypocrisy in it that they are.
Valentine's Day, what a great time to get a book like this out. So you guys met and you ended up marrying. By the way, they have 3 kids together. But you went through a rough spot, and that rough spot became sort of something you overcame, and then you had a springtime. So talk to us about that rough spot and what got you out of it and this renewal of your marriage. People want to hear about that.
Yeah, we do hope that the book is encouragement. It's like a love letter to people, because I think a lot know about that, but the 6th love language of asking questions, like drawing him out, not staying isolated. Because in our pain, I think often we can isolate. But what about the spring? How was that for you?
Well, and Cubby, let me jump in just a little bit, because you mentioned something, Rebecca, I think it's important to the story, and that is, Cubby, you were in a band that everyone knows, Foster the People, had that song, Pumped Up Kicks, and you broke from that. And for anyone that's dealt with a sick parent and watched their parents suffering, it's a tragedy, and it's very difficult. You're going through all these changes. Your path to Rebecca and to God, how did that go? What was it like?
Yeah, so I actually met Rebecca kind of in the infancy.
Sure, today in America in particular, sort of degrades marriage and acts like it's not an important part of life. But you look at people who are married and who make it succeed. It's you live longer, you live happier, you have wonderful. The payoffs are extraordinary.
Yeah.
It's interesting, because before I met Cubby, I talked a lot about perfect and good, and we're so thankful for this season. And he brought us into a spring and more children, too.
Well, I love that, we live in a disposable culture, and that includes marriage and how you guys fought through it. How many years married?
14.
14. How many years marriage, Greg?
Congrats, 26.
25. I'm going on 26. Come on, Charlie.
25.
25.
Somebody's about to get a text.
Yes.
The book is lasting.
But I'm going to stay on your couch.
All right, you're not in
Check
trouble
your phone.
here.
There's probably a message there.
Yes. All right, rewriting parental rights.